Welcome to the second season of MKE ARTS Live, and it's my great privilege and pleasure to introduce to you the Latino Strings program. Take it away, guys.
Un, dos, tres, cuatro.
That was the Latino Arts String Program, part of the United Community Center, led by Ninora Marquez. They played Dicen, which was the first song of Cumbia, and then Cascabel, the second song. All of those performers are either in high school or middle school. And please, can we have another loud round of applause for them? And they are all now going home to do homework, from my understanding. So welcome to MKE Arts Live, a show highlighting the wonderful and incredible arts community here in Milwaukee. It is made possible by the United Performing Arts Fund, who are now in week 3 of their 15-week campaign, and Radio Milwaukee, whose stage we're on right now. So round of applause for UPAF and Radio Milwaukee. I'm your host. My name is Adam Carr, and I'm very excited to be starting our second season of shows. We're going to have another one April, May, and June. And today's theme to kick off our second season is Cream City Mosaic. So our idea today is Cream City Mosaic. Is Milwaukee international? Is it cosmopolitan? Is it diverse? Spoiler alert, yes, sometimes, and definitely to those 3 questions. It is definitely a city of immigrants. It always has been. It's a city of migrants. It always will be. And we're going to be exploring this idea on stage with a few different people, and I'm very excited to have Michael Pink join me on stage. Michael Pink, if you don't know who he is, he's the longest tenured artistic director with the Milwaukee Ballet. You just passed 15 years.
Yes, indeed, 15.
And if you don't know Michael, yes, round of applause for that. I truly cannot do his CV justice. Take a look at what he's accomplished in his life. It is impressive and formidable. It's been around the world, and we've been very blessed to have him in Milwaukee for the last 15 years. And I want to start with where you're from, because you are from a city not unlike Milwaukee. Can you talk a little bit about where you were from?
Sure, yeah, I come from a city called York in England. It's a northern city. It's a working class environment. Actually, it's an interesting city because it's in a beautiful part of the country. It has no heavy industry as much as a city. It's a very historic city. It's the type of city that you walk down the street and you literally brush shoulders with 2,000-3,000 years of history. But the area that I come from is very much a working class environment. Billy Elliot, familiar? Yeah. That's it. That's it. That was my story. I was the guy growing up in school saying, I'm going to be a ballet dancer, and everybody else going, oh, what? and then I had the bruises to prove it. But yeah, I grew up in the early part of the 60s in a working class environment.
So you went on from there, and again, go and check out the path that he's taken to get here to Milwaukee, but you've gone on to work in global cultural capitals all over the place, and then you came to Milwaukee. Can you talk a little bit about being ambitious, being an artist here in Milwaukee?
Sure. I guess one of the questions a lot of people will say to me, why did you end up coming to Milwaukee? I'm a great believer in destiny, and at the time in my life when I decided to come here, and the company invited me to come here, was a time when I was starting a very young family, and so the priority was more about a place where we felt that we could bring up our children, a good environment, a safe environment, and this, of the places that we were looking at, this was one that really fit the bill. But the other thing that's really important for me, and always has been with this city, is its underlying potential in most things. And I could see it immediately within the arts, but in particular within the ballet, as a place that I could actually make a difference, that I could bring something to the fore, because for me it's never been enough to work in a place just to have the opportunity to work. I've wanted to make a difference and to work within the community to make sure that we can create a greater awareness of arts in general, but ballet in particular, because it's a very specialist art form, and the majority of people will tell you outright they don't like it, without knowing anything about it. So there's a real misconnect, again, between us trying to educate people into what the ballet can and should be, and what it is in this community.
For sure. Can you talk a little bit about, we know Milwaukee is a city that's incredibly diverse, but also divided sometimes, which can create silos. So while we are a mosaic, sometimes we aren't always as permeable as communities. So can you talk about both within the ballet as a leader there, but then in the cultural landscape at large, where you're a leader, how you help cultivate a culture of openness, of collaboration, where sometimes ego can get in the way?
Yeah, which part of that question do you want first? It's such a huge topic, because there's no question that this city is very divided on many levels, and the fact that the arts in general are, and in particular the ballet, are the kind of art forms that can connect with people, that can go into the community, that can present themselves, and because it's a non-verbal art form, it transcends all of the barriers of communication. We communicate with our bodies, we communicate using music, and we communicate through trying to create social programs that we believe will bring people closer to an understanding of dance. And for us, it's not about trying to sell ballet or make people into ballet lovers. It's just a way of communicating. In terms of this city, I mean, one of the questions, as we know, is about the fact, is this a cosmopolitan city? Yes, it could be, but it isn't. And it isn't because it is so fundamentally divided on so many levels, and that so many of the people in this city are in a situation where day-to-day survival is about all that they can really focus on. And so once you have the disparity between those people that can afford to go to the theatres and patronize the theatres and support them financially, and you go from that extreme to people who have literally barely anything to survive on. It's a huge gap to try and connect with and bring and give opportunities to even get people to be able to enjoy the arts. And I keep saying the arts because my love of this city is the abundance of arts groups, and how important it is that we work together, because again, the adage that all ships rise together if we work together. And I think that's one of the key things for me here. You use the word collaboration. I am fundamentally a collaborator. I want to try and create an environment and opportunities where people can excel, come together, learn more about each other, challenge each other, and that in doing so we can gain a greater appreciation for the individuals, for the collective, and for whatever the subject matter is that we're working with.
So Michael and I had a fascinating conversation that was about 40 minutes that we recorded as a podcast. So unfortunately, we're going to have more in a minute, but first, you can check out that podcast later. We're going to now take a field trip through a video. We're going to go to Mitchell Street, which if I think of City Mosaic, a place where you can really see the mosaic of Milwaukee, there's no place better to see it than Mitchell Street, just a few blocks from here. So let's all take a little walk now and on Mitchell Street, and your guide will be me again in this video. So let's see the video. So here we are on the south side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Mitchell Street. We're on 5th. This is the spine of the south side. Mitchell Street is a place that is very eclectic, a little bit eccentric, and today we're going to take a whirlwind tour down Mitchell Street and see a little bit of everything. It's the whole wide world on one street here on Mitchell Street. So let's go. All right, we are on the corner of 11th and Mitchell Street in Lopez Bakery, which is a landmark in the city of Milwaukee, and we're here with the proprietor of Lopez Bakery.
I'm Jorge Lopez, and this is our family business. We've been in business since 1973. It's a bakery restaurant in the heart of the Milwaukee South Side, with a tradition that goes back to Mexico for generations. You know, been a family business with my parents and myself being, in the business.
All right, we are currently at AP Foods, which kind of sounds like the classic grocery store, the A&P, but AP actually stands for Amrit Patel, who's the owner of this place, and it's an Indian grocery store. It's a great place to get any kind of Indian groceries you need, including samosas, mango drinks, whatever. Let's go inside. The unique thing about AP Foods is in the back of the grocery store, there's a full
tax service. I just talked to Amrit. He said, go ahead and film in the store, but he literally could not spare a second because he didn't even look up what he was just typing. He was like, go ahead, look through the store, but I got to keep doing these taxes. Next door to AP Foods, we're going to go this way. This is a resale shop owned by an Australian woman named Dimity, who is really delightful. So let's go meet her.
The building itself we purchased roughly 8 years ago. It's over 120 years plus. Great foot traffic, a lot of customers, great socialization on the street. I'm originally from Australia, met my husband in the military. I always say it's very much like Sydney. It's very eclectic. The street here along Mitchell Street is very international, and so it's like where the old meets the new.
All right, we are at our last stop, Mitchell Street Menswear, and this is essentially the menswear from Goldman's transplanted onto Mitchell Street in a different location. So you can still see up here the old lunch counter, and if you need to look good, you need to look sharp and snappy, they'll hook you up. So this is a size 80 belt, and if you remember from the old days of Goldman's, you walk in the front door, they'd have a giant pair of Dickies pants and these big tall belts. So some things here on Mitchell Street have remained exactly the same, and a lot of things have changed. Mitchell Street has always been a reflection of the people of the South Side as the people of the South Side have changed. So as we saw from our walk up and down Mitchell Street, it's this incredible kaleidoscope of culture. You got people from every inhabited continent on Earth. So Mitchell Street, like I said at the beginning, eclectic, eccentric, and for my money, no other place like it on Earth. So a few people who saw me come to the show today were like, you're wearing a suit. I don't normally wear a suit. I'm not a suit guy. But I wore this suit because I bought it at Mitchell Street Menswear, which is where the video ended. And I wanted to demonstrate a little visual of Mitchell Street. Brought it with me on stage. All right, so we are now joined on stage by some really incredible panelists I feel very honored to have. So Juan Valenzuela is with Marcus Theaters. He's part of the Cine Latino Film Festival, which is now entering its second year. Yollande Deacon, the proprietor of Irie, Zulu, a family-owned and operated African-Jamaican restaurant in Wauwatosa on North Avenue. And Nelson Lopez, who defies easy description. He is an ex-Fabula coach. He's a published poet, lecturer of Latin American studies, a radio personality. I've heard that you teach spin classes at the Y downtown, and you have one class at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 6 a.m., yes.
All right, so if you're out, if you need to burn off some calories at 6 a.m. tomorrow, do it with Nelson.
No, you know what I tell people is that if you can't sleep, just come over.
Absolutely. So a first question for you guys on stage. If Milwaukee is a melting pot or a stew, what ingredient are you?
I go right away. Spices. I mean, my brand is African and Jamaican food, and if you know, it's all about spices, and it's about texture, and it's about flavor. So yes, I come from Cameroon, and Cameroon in Central Africa is known for its tradition with spices.
All right.
And a field and plantation of spices. And what we're most known for is the African nutmeg. So you use it in all kinds of stew. If you know the Jamaican oxtail, if you know brown stew, so the African nutmeg is what makes that seasoning. And what actually it represents us as a people, where we have a tone of personality, pizzazz, and I think spice.
All right. Yeah. Perfect.
I would have to go with the stock, kind of that brings everything together in the recipe. So, you know, having so many different offerings and trying to please so many different types of content that our Cine Latino is offering, it's just like we want to bring everything together, and we feel that a really good stock will do that. So.
All right. Cool.
I think I'm going to add some more spices. See, but the thing is that when we say spicy, spicy doesn't really mean hot. Some people associate the same thing, like, oh, it's too spicy. No, but spicy means, coming from spices, right? Not necessarily hot peppers and like you said, depending on the day. So that's how that's the flavor that I want.
All right.
So I will go ahead and add some more spices. Being from El Salvador, we also have a bunch of different things. We are the Mayan tradition, the Aztec tradition, everything all together, Central America and Mexico. We are cultures of corn, and corn by itself is not enough, so you have to add some spices to it.
All right.
Yes.
Me, I think my wife wanted me to be an onion because she says any stew or anything begins with a good onion, and I say it's also because
All right.
I like to make people cry. But actually, in a creative way. But actually, forgive me, I just want to be the cook because I want to be able to work with the incredible ingredients and the variety of ingredients, and I want to be able to facilitate all of that becoming the best stew that it possibly can be.
We're making a recipe on stage with very low carbohydrates, very high on flavor. Lots of flavor. No carbohydrates at all. So each of you work through a cultural lens in Milwaukee. My question to you guys is how you're received. So you described a little bit kind of what you bring to the table. And that first question, how do you find audiences in Milwaukee receiving what you're bringing?
Well, depending on the day. One of the things that I like doing is when I teach my cycling classes, and Laura is here, I bring different kinds of music, and sometimes music from Cameroon, music from Angola, music from New Zealand, different places. And initially, I didn't know how people were going to react to this, because when you hear something new, something that is not what you're used to, then people are kind of, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's been now 7 years working at the YMCA, and I'm still doing the same thing, playing different music from different continents, different languages as well. So I think if you get to know, sometimes people ask me, what was that song, for example? And I like that. We have conversations with people, and once you start having conversations with the other, that's where barriers begin to come down.
Yeah.
I think I will just build on what my deliciously spicy neighbor here just said. Well, our food is a conversation piece by itself. Sure. So African and Jamaican food under the same roof was a pioneer idea that we had in Tulsa. And we wanted to do it from a traditional and home-style feel. Again, that was groundbreaking, and doing that using locally grown ingredients. So we are actually pleasantly surprised, because I remember being told this will not work in Milwaukee, simply because it was just too foreign and too different for the market to bear. But good news, everybody love a cooking show. Everybody's in tune with what's going on in the world nowadays. Social media is king. So we are being received, I think, to the best that the local community can evolve. It's a process. I can't quite say that we're selling Italian food or cheese that everybody is familiar with, but definitely it's getting there.
I got engaged recently, and my new fiance and I went on Saturday night to your place to celebrate.
Of course, that was the best place to start a meaningful relationship start at Irie Zulu.
Absolutely. All right.
So I guess one of the things that we get is feedback from all of our guests that go to our theaters, and offering different language, different formats of the movies. So it's not just a dubbed movie. We have Spanish language movies. We actually are also, when we hear back from our guests, one of the most, I guess you can say it's growing, is our Indian movies, actually. And we're starting to really see some growth with that. And so we're excited to be able to offer those different types of language formats to all of our guests. And we think that that's really important, because there's so much content out there, and everybody should be able to enjoy a good movie experience no matter what language you speak.
Well, the Milwaukee Ballet is a professional dance company, so we have 25 professional dancers who come from literally all around the world and live and work here. And then we have a training company of 20 dancers, and we have a school of over 600 students and families, and we have outreach communication programs that take us out into the community, where we can create and devise programs specifically for are the people that we're working with, whether it's disabled people, whether it's elderly, minorities. We think it's very important that whilst people can come to the theatre to see a variety of classical dance, contemporary dance, a lot of new work that's created specifically for these dancers, our dancers, so that gives it a very unique edge. We're also very mindful that we're trying to create a link to the various communities around our city and go to those people and work with them in the hope that eventually they will come back into the theatre and experience the full-blown performance aspect. But our school performances also generate a huge amount of interest in the community and with the individuals.
So we're going to go to the audience in a minute, and I want to ask you guys both a very difficult question and give you an unfairly short amount of time to answer it. Okay? So keep this one really short. My question for you is, I looked up the definition of cosmopolitan, familiar with and at ease in many different countries and cultures. Is Milwaukee a cosmopolitan city? Do we feel fluent, comfortable in many cultures? Yes or no, why or why not, and try to answer in a sentence.
Well, not yet. I think I will call Milwaukee a cosmopolitan city the day where people will understand that Africa is not a country. And I still get a lot of that.
Yes, same thing. I think we are working towards a cosmopolitan city, and you wouldn't believe when I teach Latin American studies, the first exercise that I do with my students, I give them a piece of paper and I say, draw a map of the Americas and see what you get. And name as many countries as you can. And what I get is the biggest country in South America is Africa.
Yikes.
But I think we're getting there. And and that's why I love teaching that class. And I'm also involved in the Silver City International Festival in September, and that's also that aims to bring people together from different nationalities.
Well, with Cine Latino, one of the things that we're trying to do is we feel that we're taking steps to get there, to everybody's point. We're pointed in the right direction, we're getting there. We have movie offerings from South America, Mexico, Chile, in South America, not just South America as a country. But I think that, we will get there, and we're not at Miami and we're not at, San Diego quite yet. But these are the things that are going to help us get there. So.
No, it's not cosmopolitan. It could be, and I think there's an abundance of great things and great people, but I think it lacks the open-mindedness that is required of a cosmopolitan city. You have to be outward reaching and thinking, and Milwaukee's the opposite. It's not broad-minded, it's inward thinking.
All right, thank you all very much. Very honest answers, I appreciate that. Now in the audience, if any of you have a question, please raise your hand. Katie has a handheld microphone. She will come around to you. If you guys don't have questions, I actually have plenty more. So your loss if you don't. We got a question here.
Hi, this is directed at Michael Pink. So your 25 dancers and maybe your MB2 are a little younger. I'm assuming ballet dancers retired at a younger age.
Yes.
Do they ever talk, is there any conversation about them returning to the Milwaukee area to retire or have a family here, just as you spoke earlier?
Absolutely, absolutely. Many. I sometimes joke about the amount of children that have been fathered since I took over the company. I would love to see a picture one day of all these little children that have grown up have been born and grown up. No, we do a spectacular job of retaining people who worked as dancers. They work in the school as teachers because nobody teaches ballet better than professional dancers. But they've made Milwaukee their home. And we have many people who are studying here and are working in law firms, in hospitals, who are working all around the area. So Milwaukee does become a home for them. But we were warned about that when we came here. People said, you watch, you'll suddenly realize you're stuck here and you don't know why or how, but it somehow seems to be working. And that's my only sort of excuse for being here 15 years.
Thank you.
Another question from the audience?
Don't be shy.
All right. The two people sitting closest to the microphone.
So Milwaukee is not yet cosmopolitan, but it sounds like there's stuff that you all love about this place. So I'd just like to hear one thing from each of you that you really do love about Milwaukee.
That was a question I was going to throw out. Very Milwaukee of me not to get that question.
I love the lake. I think the lake is the most amazing part of this city in terms of the fact that when you need it, you just head off down to the lake, and at any particular day of the year, it seems to be a uniquely different experience. And so I think it's a very life-enhancing part of the city. And I do love the cultural diversity within the city as much as one can have access to it.
I love the bilingual education I got in Milwaukee Public Schools as an elementary kid, and learning to read and write in Spanish. And even though I'm the native here, in case anybody didn't notice, and, oh yeah, I didn't get to throw any of my Uper out there, but had a great education at View School, which is literally 3 minutes in that direction, and it was awesome, and it's one of the things I will always cherish about Milwaukee.
I love the summer in Milwaukee. I love all the activities, Summerfest, and most importantly, I came here as a graduate student. I love the genuine relation. I actually stay here for the relationship. I was out of here after I was done with my MBA, but I'm here. So I made very, very good friendships. So what is really unique about, I think, Milwaukee and maybe the Midwest is when people love you, they really love you. So it's good relationships.
I like food, so I would say, the restaurants, the diversity of restaurants that we have, and the diversity of festivals as well. So we have something from Pupusa Fest to Irish Fest to all different kinds of festivals, and you can try again different foods in it.
All right, thank you all very much. So as a last performance, we are going to have the Florentine opera. We have soprano Rachel Blaustein singing, this is French, I'm going to do my best. Par le rang et par l'opulence, from La Fille du Régiment. I took French in high school. By Donizetti, and accompanist Ruben Pyrenean. Take it away, guys. So again, Rachel and Ruben from the Florentine Opera, thank you guys so much. That was incredible. And that does it for the first episode of the second season of MKE Arts Live. Latino Arts Strings Program. Thank you to Michael Pink, Yollande, Nelson, Juan, a little out of order there. Thank you to the United Performing Arts Fund and Radio Milwaukee, to Epic Creative, who helped put all this on. We're going to be back on April 9th for our second episode, and our theme will be Women of Impact. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.